So I've talked about lifting my XC90 7 months ago when I first got this thing. Well, now is finally the time. I'm about to lift my Volvo XC90 V8. So if you haven't seen already, I made a whole video on why I bought this XC90 instead of something like a 4Runner or using my Tacoma for off-roading and overlanding. If you want to see that video, it's up here. So long story short, I bought this XC90 V8 to do overlanding and camping because of its on-road performance, comfort, good power, and the all-wheel drive system is pretty decent at shifting power around. So for a mid-size, well, full-size family crossover, it's actually pretty decent off-road. So let's get into some specifications and the nitty-gritty. So first, a stock XC90 just like mine, a 2010, has 8.9 inches of ground clearance, which is actually a little bit more than a brand new Outback or Forester from Subaru at 8.7. And it's just a little bit, well, it's a little less than a 4Runner, a stock 4Runner, at 9.6. So I don't think that's that bad for a, family crossover from Sweden. Approach angle is 28 degrees, which I do want to improve a little bit by, I think I can cut my front bumper a little bit. And departure is 25, which I don't think I'm gonna be able to do much about that because I'm gonna get my tow hitch for it. And that already hangs a lot lower than I would like it to. But I think that with the lift, it shouldn't be that bad. So there's not a lot of options in terms of lifting an XC90, at least in the US. Right here, we can only get the cross-country performance lift kit. At least that's the only lift kit that's available right now. So for the XC90, you don't have too many options with that either. You can get their 2-inch lift kit, which is a puck lift that goes on the front, well, the rear and front shocks. And then you can choose either a 1/2 inch or a full inch subframe spacer. And you're going to want those subframe spacers because they help with the angle of the drive axles. And they also give you a little bit of height. So this is my lift kit. It comes in this itty little box over here, but I went with Cross Country Performance 2-inch lift kit, so their spacer lift kit, and then their 1-inch subframe spacer lift. So that's 3 inches in total. And then after I get the bigger tires put on, which I have those, I should have about 12 inches of ground clearance. At least that's what I'm anticipating. Right before I lift it, I'll do proper measurements with, tape measures and such. I'm gonna do measurements from the wheel wells, front and back, the skid plate, and, from the bottom of the car. So I'm interested to see that, but this is the lift that I went with. For tires, I wanted a decent all-terrain tire that's a good all-around tire that wasn't a BFG KO2. First of all, everybody and their dad has the BFG KO2. Everyone says that's what they get. I've also heard that KO2s don't do that great in the wet or the snow, but I think everybody has different experiences with tires. I don't think I've ever had a brand new tire that's been bad in the rain or the snow. So I'm going with the Nitto Ridge Grappler AT, or just, the Nitto Ridge Grappler. It's a pretty new tire on the market, I think. It's just a few years old, but I've heard a lot of good things about them being a good all-around tire. My second option, which was actually what I was going to order before the Nittos, were Falcon Wild Peak AT3Ws, because I hear those are some of the best tires out there for what I want to do, because I'm planning to take this in mud, snow, rocks, dirt, sand, whatever. So these tires are 29.5 inches. They're just regular Cooper Discover highway terrain tires. They've been pretty decent, but I've gotten stuck in the snow with them before. So I'm going with 30.5 inch tires. The size is 265/60 R18. I think I could do bigger with a little bit of trimming, but I don't want to get into that right now. I think that extra height of the tire would help a little bit, and those Nittos are supposed to grip really well. I originally wanted to find some 17-inch wheels from another XC90 so I could have a thicker sidewall, which helps when I'm around the rocks. There's less of a chance of getting stabbed. Like if you've seen the TFL Defender video, that thing had, what, 19s or 20 on it, and that popped 2 tires. So I do not want that, but I think I should be okay with 18s for the time being. Another reason why I'd like a thicker sidewall is because you can air down just a little bit more, which gives you better traction because you have a wider footprint of the tire, and it can make some rough washboard roads or rough rock roads, that's a tongue twister, it can make those uneven surfaces a little bit more tolerable. So if you yourself are trying to put bigger tires on your XC90, this is a problem that you'll definitely face. Even if you're just getting, you know, fat, like if you want 20s and you're putting 265s or 275s, you're going to run into this issue if it's a, you know, larger diameter like mine. The spring perch on these is about less than an inch away from touching the tire already. So if I'm putting bigger tires, which are give or take a ½ inch or so just taller in diameter, they're bound to rub on the spring perches. So I ordered 1¼ inch wheel spacers, which I ordered the wrong ones at first. Again, they're sitting up there. If anyone wants wheel spacers for a Volvo, let me know. I'll have the specs of them in the description. But for people that are looking for wheel spacers or different wheels on these cars, you have a 5x108 bolt pattern and a 67.1 millimeter hub bore. So even after I lift this thing, I still have a few finishing touches, which I think I'm gonna do sooner than later, because a not fatal, but an issue that this XC90 has is that behind here, the spare tire that comes with these P2 XC90s is a donut. And if I'm on a trail with, you know, bigger tires than the diameter of a donut, and if I'm around sharp rocks, I don't want to be rolling around with a donut if I pop a tire. So I'd like to get a full-size spare tire, and the only way that I can properly do that, well, safely, without putting it on top, because I don't want to put anything on top to make this thing any more top heavy. So I'm going to get the OEM Volvo tow hitch, which I did not want to get because it hangs down here, but it's the best option for me. And then I'd like to get the Dirt Complex rear tire swing out carrier, which should still work because it's made for pickup trucks. And this tailgate is a lot shorter than the tailgate on a Tacoma or something. So if I use that, I can still drop this and then the tire swings out of the way like that. And I think it would look cool. Just let me close this up. Imagine this with a spare tire on the back. And then you could relocate the license plate and the backup camera for any car that you have. After getting that hitch, I'd be able to use a proper recovery point, because right now I just use this little D-ring, well, tow eye, which if you yank it really hard, it'll just come right off. So yes, this is the beginning. There's a baby. This is the beginning of the process of me lifting Thor, my 2010 Volvo XC90 V8 Executive. I'm gonna be installing this myself with 2 of my friends that know more about suspension and all that than I do, and that will be part 2 of this video. This video is going to be a 3 or 4 part series. So actually, part 2, because I want to take this off-road before I lift it and put the tires on it, just to get my last feeling of its stock. So I'm going to take it off-road. That will hopefully be part 2. Part 3 will be us installing this thing, and I'll give you my impressions, my first impressions. And then part 4 will be the initial off-road impressions after the lift and tires. But I'm waiting for my spacers to come in because I ordered new wheel spacers that should not be here until the middle of next month. And right now it is the beginning of August. So we're gonna have some waiting to do, but stay tuned for more videos with Thor and more of the other shenanigans I do. Thank you for watching up to this point, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, peeps.